person either climbs the mountain or he falls. You never stay at the same place. Climb the mountain. That's why God made us. He gave us life in this world, and it is short. How long do we live? 60 years, 70 years, 80 years. But a person who lives that life the way it should be, that is the greatest of all heavens that he can possibly reach. So reach that ripe old age and look back upon a life which may have been difficult, but in which you did the kind of things that the Almighty wanted you to. May God bless you, and may he bless Israel, and may we see the coming of the Messiah speedily and happily in our days. Amen. Amen.
Be seated. Wasn't that the dessert after such a festive weekend? I'm so proud and so grateful to Rabbi Kahana, who, when I sent out the request for help in establishing or re-establishing and reviving the concept of Bnai Noach, he was the very first one to run in response. I want to help you. Anything I can do, I will do to help. Our people will help you. Folks, we're on the way tonight, amen? Okay. Now, I want Rabbi Kahana to come. I'm sure you've got questions you'd like to ask, and he'll be glad to answer them. Rabbi Kahana.
Any questions? Yes, sir. My views on the... Let me tell you how I would put an end to people who want to wipe me out. First of all, I would bear in mind the maxim of the rabbis in the Talmud. He who has mercy upon the cruel will someday be cruel unto the merciful. That's the first thing. And with that in mind, what would I do? The first thing that I would do, I would close off all of the territories to the news media. That's the first thing. What Margaret Thatcher did in the Falklands, and what Ronald Reagan did in Grenada, and what that well-known apostle of democracy, Gorbachev, does in Lithuania. See, that's allowed. You see, that's allowed. That's allowed. Well, we owe nothing to Peter Jennings. So I would shut off the territories to the news media. And then I would tell the soldiers, Chevra, fellas, you have 48 hours to do whatever you want to do. But when I come back, I don't want there to be an intifada. Do you know that in 1967 you could walk alone at 2 a.m. in any alleyway in the old city? And do you know that today Jews are afraid to walk through the Damascus Gate, through the marketplace in broad daylight? What's the difference? The difference is that in the Middle East there is a perception of either strength or weakness. Americans who are decent people find it hard to understand that there are other regions with other cultures and other mindsets and other values and other ideas. Well, there are. In the southwest of this country, you can work out pretty much any problem over coffee and cake. But the Middle East is not the Southwest or the Middle West. In the Middle East, it's a different culture and different mindset, different values. It's a different world. And if they perceive that you are strong, they're afraid of you. When they perceive that, and if their perception of you is that of being weak, you're dead. The first hostage that was taken, they should have crushed West Beirut. And that would have been the end of hostage taking. That's what they understand. If you're good, that's not perceived as being good. It is perceived as being weak. It's not a happy thing, you're right. I'm not here to make you happy. I'm here to make you think. Above all, I don't want to kill Arabs. And I don't want to beat up Arabs. I wish them well elsewhere. They have 22 states of their own. God bless them all. The Jewish people has only one state, but that's our state. I want the Arabs to live with their brothers, and I want the Jewish people to live with their brothers and their sisters. And good fences make great neighbors. With God's help, I will help them to live in any of their 22 states, but not in mine, so that neither Jew nor Arab will die. Will that bring peace? No. Will it bring survival? Yes. And at the moment, that's what I'm worried about. And if the world will not see that as being nice, well, I would rather have a Jewish state that's hated by the world than an Auschwitz that's loved by it. That's how I put an end to the Intifada. Yes?
Rabbi, I'm on your mailing list.
I'm sorry.
I'm on your mailing list, and I used to get information about Koch.
Yes?
Then, of course, when Koch was dissolved by the government in Israel, I was reading that it was going to be called Koach, but you would run again. What's happening with you and your political party in Israel today?
Koch was not dissolved. Koch was barred from running on the ticket for the Knesset. What bothers me most about that is that had an Arab party or the Communist Party of Israel been barred, liberals would have screamed onto the seventh heaven. Anthony Lewis of the New York Times would have given us his fill. No one cried out when our party was banned. Suddenly that was not an aberration of democracy. Because liberals are liberal until their own ox has been gored. Those that they don't like can be barred without the slightest qualm of conscience. I was barred not because I'm a racist. I'm not a racist, but an outrageous statement to make. I was barred because the polls showed that we would be the third largest party in Knesset if we ran. I was barred because the polls showed that the young Jews, in particular, voted for us. That's Sephardic Jews, the Jews from Arab countries, who didn't learn about Arabs at some Bnai B'rith seminar, and learned about Arabs because they lived with them, and they ran away from them, and they fled from them. And every time some Arab speaks about how Jews and Arabs always lived together, indeed, 800,000 Jews fled the Arab countries the moment that they could. That's why I was banned. What do we plan to do? We, of course, will change the name, but never the program. I could have stayed in Knesset by compromising on my program. God never put me on earth to be in the Knesset. He put me on this earth to say the Jewish truth. And if I have to choose between the Jewish truth and sitting in Knesset,